Did Jeffrey Epstein hang himself or did somebody kill him?
Senator, I believe he hung himself in a cell in the Metropolitan Detention Center.
Are you going to release all the information about that?
Senator, we are working through that right now with the Department of Justice.
When do you think you'll have it done, Cash?
I think in the near future, sir.
Like before I die? Christmas ornaments, drywall, and Jerry Epstein. Name 3 things that don't hang themselves. That's what the American people think.
Is Jeffrey Epstein dead or alive? If he is dead, did he hang himself or was he killed because he held secrets that could have ruined many careers? Many questions and conspiracy theories are circulating on the internet, especially after the latest DOJ document and video releases revealed developments that appear to contradict earlier accounts of what happened that day. Recently released Justice Department records reveal that investigators analyzing surveillance video from the night Jeffrey Epstein died noticed an orange-colored figure moving up a staircase toward the secluded locked cell tier around 10:39 p.m. on August 9th, 2019. An FBI memo indicates that investigators and the Justice Department's Inspector General reached differing conclusions after reviewing the same video footage. A flash of orange looks to be going up the L-tier stairs. Could possibly be an inmate escorted up to that tier, FBI analysts wrote after reviewing the surveillance camera footage. An FBI review of the video footage describes that possibly an inmate was seen moving up the stairs. The DOJ Office of Inspector General's review states that it is possible someone is carrying inmate linen or bedding up the stairs. Official reports say Epstein died by suicide before 6:30 a.m., though no exact time was determined, and recent months have seen renewed scrutiny of the investigation into his death. The newly released records add fresh uncertainty about activity near Epstein's cell tier late that night. Official reviews of his death do not reference the orange-clad figure, and later statements from authorities, including then-Attorney General Bill Barr, maintained that no one entered Epstein's housing tier that evening. The new records add detail about the hours between Epstein's last appearance on camera on August 9th and the discovery of his body the next morning. The 2 officers on duty, Tova Noel and materials handler Guido Bonhomme, were interviewed in 2019, with Bonhomme admitting he slept during part of his shift. Officials questioned an unexplained inmate count discrepancy, which Noel said she could not recall. Neither officer was asked about the orange-clad figure seen on video, and Bonhomme said he remembered nothing from that period. An internal presentation suggested that an officer carried linen upstairs, but Noel denied ever distributing linen and said it was not her responsibility. Bonhomme ended his shift at midnight and was replaced by Officer Michael Thomas, who later found Epstein's body, while Tova Noel continued working a second shift. Thomas told investigators he found Epstein after 6:30 a.m. and cut him down, but said he could not recall removing a noose, which was never definitively identified. Noel said she saw Epstein lowered to the floor, but did not see a noose, and evidence records noted that a shirt believed to have been cut from Epstein was later returned from the hospital. Amid the overflow of new information, the newly released DOJ records show a startling development. A U.S. attorney's statement on Jeffrey Epstein's death was drafted a day before he died. The draft, dated August 9th, 2019, appears among documents from the Southern District of New York. However, Epstein was found dead in his Manhattan jail cell the following morning, August 10th. The statement, attributed to then U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Berman, said Epstein was found unresponsive and later pronounced dead.
Did Jeffrey Epstein hang himself or did somebody kill him?
Senator, I believe he hung himself in a cell in the Metropolitan Detention Center.
Are you going to release all the information about that?
Senator, we are working through that right now with the Department of Justice.
When do you think you'll have it done, Cash?
I think in the near future, sir.
Like before I die?
Senator, we've been working on that, and we're doing it in a way that protects victims and also doesn't put out into the ether information that is irrelevant for production of the public, such as CSAM.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What is, in your opinion, is justice?
Ooh, that's a heavy question. I would assume that that people are treated fairly and that fair and equitable consequences occur if one violates the rights of another, and we should be able to anticipate that and expect that from our system.
Well, when somebody, to me, justice is when someone gets what they deserve.
Right.
The Uyghurs in China deserve religious liberty, and I think it's unjust not to give it to them. In terms of crime and punishment, a wrongful act, do you think we should view that as a sickness that should be cured, or a consequence, or a wrongful act, the consequence of which deserves punishment?
I think the latter is very true. Unfortunately, in some situations, the former statement, like in terms of pedophiles and sex offenders, and some of those whose behavior has been deemed by the Psychiatric Association to be at the root of that as a psychiatric or mental health issue, then it needs to be looked at as both. But either way, the consequences should match the offense.
Okay. Tell me the best procedure in your judgment, and you've got a lot of experience, and I can tell from your testimony today that you know what you're talking about. I think most people would agree that justice sometimes needs to be tempered with mercy.
I agree.
In the federal prison system, how best do we do that? And who should do it?
Senator, as I mentioned earlier, we have no control over who comes into our institutions or when they get out. So in terms of, I'm simply saying, so they're coming in and going out.
You're queen for a day. Forget about the current law.
But within our institution, we all have the responsibility to treat our inmates with mercy and compassion. Because, as I said earlier, we believe that an inmate's reentry journey begins the day they join us.
Madam Director, but our time's so limited. I'm talking in terms of determining when somebody should get out early.
That's we don't have control over when somebody gets out.
I'm asking you who should, based on your considerable experience.
I think the individuals that have been elected or appointed to the top ranks of our whole criminal justice and our law system of law in this country have the responsibility to make those kinds of decisions.
Well, but we don't. Congress didn't. Congress didn't in the First Step Act. We turned it over to you folks.
No.
And we turned it over to the Justice Department.
You gave us authorities, you gave us abilities.
Sure.
To kind of like to.
Yeah, but you exercise the judgment.
Well, but that's right. But that judgment is very much driven by specific parameters within which we have to work.
They're very vague.
Okay. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to answer this in an acceptable manner to you, Senator, because I think you know.
Okay, let me just hit one last lick on Jeffrey Epstein, and how can I put this? Christmas ornaments, drywall, and Jeffrey Epstein. Name 3 things that don't hang themselves. That's what the American people think. That's what the American people think. And they deserve some answers. And I know that you're not in charge of these investigations.
Yes, sir.
But you talk to the people who are. And I need you to take a very respectful message today. Tell the American people what happened. And don't rush it so that they don't do a thorough investigation. But you and I both know they can make this a top priority and get it done more quickly than they normally would. They need to do that. And I'd like you to deliver that message.
I agree with you, sir, but I have no control. I mean, I can pass along the message, but the FBI and the Inspector General's office work on their own time frame. But I will definitely give you their message because I want the investigations completed as soon as possible, too, so that we can act.
I have a feeling you know how to be firm.
Little bit.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.